They lied that the transport of Freddie Gray would and could be done properly by securing him before driving off. He's not the driver. He's not responsible for the transport. He's assisting other officers. His superior officer was the one inside the van. A gentleman, Lieutenant Rice, I believe. I don't know if it's a gentleman or not. Don't hold me to it, and don't send me any cards and letters. Guys, if there's any justice for Freddie Gray, if you really want to look for justice for Freddie Gray, quote-unquote justice, that subjective thing that everybody loves to talk about, but nobody can really define for everyone, everywhere, all the time. If you're really looking for that, go through the arrest procedures and the transport procedures and make sure this doesn't happen again. Don't ruin the lives of these police officers who did what they were trained to do, but for a mistake that ended up becoming tragic. The rest of this is loud voices, screaming, yelling, protesting, and destruction of property. That's all this is after that, folks. It's actually a very simple, open and shut legal proceeding here, as Judge Williams talks about. But then you get the spin. You get the interviews and everything. Before we get to that, though, I do want to give credit where credit's due. The Gray family attorney had a great statement about the verdict that is kind of getting lost in the shuffle here. William Murphy, an attorney for the Gray family, here is what he had to say in reaction to Judge Williams' verdict.
But the family's previous position has been, and I have no doubt that they will maintain it, that as long as all of the evidence is heard, as long as all of the law was properly considered, and as long as this was a fair process, then justice was done. And to the black citizens in Baltimore, you ought to be proud that such an accomplished jurist with a background in prosecuting corrupt cops had the courage to go against public opinion and render a decision that he and he alone believed was just under the circumstances. We can't ask for more than that, nor should we ask for more than that.
That was Gray family attorney William Murphy. Nice Irish boy from Maryland, I guess. And he's absolutely right. Got some more comments in our chat room saying that this should have been an internal affairs investigation, not dragged into court. They use some expletives that I can't use. Caused a lot of damage by going after cops. Absolutely right, but the damage is to the community. It's damage of confidence in your public safety. Not because of just what happened with Freddie Gray, but the reactions later on by city government in allowing people to destroy the community. You know, there'll be some comments later on. God help me, I got a clip from The View of all places. Calm down, don't shut off the radio just yet. It's actually something constructive, and it also points out how The View stinks. But like I said, we'll get to that in a second. Understand, folks, that at the end of the day, the law on this is pretty simple. If you want to fix the law later on, if you want to fix procedures later on, I'm sure procedures can be tightened up, reviewed, improved, retraining can be done, but this isn't a criminal case. At the end of the day, so far, we've had 2 trials. I haven't heard anything criminal from either one of them. And that's kind of the point that Megyn Kelly brought up with Black Lives Matter movement and failed mayoral candidate DeRay McKesson. He of the 1% vote. I guess that's a different type of 1%er, huh, folks? DeRay went on Megyn Kelly's show, and it's a little bit of a long clip, and I might be interrupting it here or there. But when you're listening to DeRay talk, ask yourself 2 things. Does he answer any of Megyn's questions? And more importantly, did he articulate what Officer Edward Nero did so wrong to merit criminal prosecution?
Do you agree with that woman's statement we just heard, that this is biased and racist to its core, this verdict?
It's good to be here, Megan. And you know, what we know to be true is that Freddie Gray should be alive today. And what the judge said today was that Officer Nero was not found criminally responsible. But it's important to note, as you've done so far, that the mayor and the police commissioner have said that they will conduct an investigation, because we know that in the state of Maryland, that the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights, with the police union contract in Baltimore, and with policies in the city, that almost guarantees that officers will not be held accountable for their actions. So the administrative review that's going to go with Nero is important. And remember that this is just one
of 6 cases. There were no facts. There were zero facts to support this charge against this officer. And this is a judge who himself had prosecuted cops, bad cops, for the last 5 years before he took the bench.
It was facts around a criminal. This is a criminal case. So again, what the judge found today was that there was no crime committed based on the current laws.
Right. So my question was, do you accept that, or do you agree with that woman we just heard who said this verdict is biased and racist to the core?
So like I said, Megan, so I agree that this is a reminder that we need to make the laws so that they can hold police officers accountable.
Laws like Officer Nero?
Yeah, so when you think about his involvement. So again, what this said today was that given the current standards, that he was not criminally responsible. We've seen this play out in verdicts all across the country.
But what did he do that was wrong, DeRay? What specifically did this guy do? Because what the evidence showed us was he had virtually no interaction with Freddie Gray. None.
No, so
I'm going to stop it right here for just 1 second. Do you see what he's doing, folks? You go around for a year and you say, this is criminal, they should be in jail, all this stuff. We're talking about all the officers blanketly. Now when you have a verdict that comes against you, D. Ray McKesson is playing a little intellectual dishonesty. He's saying, well, it's more of an administrative problem and the standards have to be changed. But Megyn Kelly is pressing him, what did Edward Nero do wrong that merits review administratively even? Clearly there's nothing criminal. But what is it, D. Ray? Tell us.
Did you read the verdict? So that what the judge does say is that he actually did have involvement with the stop, but not the arrest specifically. So he was involved. Freddie Gray should not have been stopped. He was no threat to the officers. The officers were a threat to Freddie Gray. So remember that this is about a range of circumstances today, and it's a reminder that we have to change the laws and the policies in the city and the state.
Don't you see the danger to the community if we start locking up cops for making a bad judgment call?
Do you think that Freddie Gray should be dead, Megan?
Again, not answering the question at all. Of course, police officers who are exercising their judgment reasonably in the course of their duties should not be held to a criminal standard. Officers are human. They make mistakes. The system is set up so that a police officer who makes a mistake reasonably should not be held criminally responsible. Does Edward Nero have to live with the fact that Freddie Gray is dead as a result of what happened here and his part in it? Of course, any person of conscience would feel that way. But come on, folks. There's a difference between personal feelings, personal beliefs, and justice and the law. All three of those are different. Personal beliefs and opinion don't necessarily have to be based on justice or the law. Justice is subjective, and they may not necessarily have to do with what the law says. The law is not interested in justice, it's interested in orderly rule. Let's keep listening to D. Ray ramble.
DeRay, my question is to you. Don't you see the danger to the community if you change the laws to make it illegal for cops to exercise poor judgment?
So, Megan, I will never agree that an officer's role is to kill unarmed citizens. Freddie Gray entered that van alive, and he left the van with his spine damaged.
So far, the only two groups to weigh in on whether that was the fault of the cops have concluded that this is a mistrial and that the cop was not guilty. So the facts so far are not coming out to support some sort of intentional harming.
We have 5 more trials. I hope that you're suggesting that because there's one acquittal, that means that all of the other cases don't matter. That's a really interesting
You're suggesting these cops killed this man. And I'm telling you that while Freddie Gray died in police custody, that has not yet been established.
What I'm saying is that Freddie entered the van alive, and that was not the condition that he came out in.
Okay, I gotta jump in here a second again. I'm sorry for ruining the continuity of the clip here, folks, but come on. Megyn Kelly is right. D. Ray McKesson is suggesting that the police did something here to kill the man intentionally. Or by, or through manslaughter, I don't even know what theory he can think of. We can all agree that the death of Freddie Gray is a tragedy. But not all tragedies are crimes.
Right, and who caused it and how remains to be seen. But you're positing to the audience that these cops did it, and I'm telling the audience thus far the evidence doesn't support that.
What I'm saying is that there's one trial, so you don't know what the evidence in the other 5 cases, and neither do I, and that's why I'm excited to follow through these cases.
Well, I know one guy was tried by a jury, and it was a hung jury, so they were not able to conclude his guilt.
Which again is not an acquittal.
And then the next case that was tried by an African American judge concluded that there was no case against this officer,
one case.
And he was just
acquitted. So we are looking forward to the
charges.
next 5, and that's important. And we'll see the next 5.
But even now that you have a not guilty verdict against Officer Nero, you continue to tell this audience that he did something wrong.
No, what I continue to say is that I'm looking forward to the administrative review and that we do need to take a holistic look at the laws in the state of Maryland.
What did he do, DeRay?
It is still... in Maryland, in Baltimore City, it is okay for officers to hog tie and chokehold citizens. We don't think that that is okay.
That's a separate thing. Okay, so you look at that, but what did Officer Nero do?
So I've already said this to you, Megan, is that this...
No! You haven't already said this! I hope that you're screaming at your radio the way that I'm screaming into this microphone right now. No, you didn't answer the question. That's why she's asked it 6 times. You useful idiot.
Involved in this case, and what it says, what the judge said is that the officer was not criminally responsible, and this means that we need to continue the fight to make sure that the laws hold officers accountable. He had no responsibility, as noted in the judge's decision today, to intervene when he saw others misbehaving, and that is important. We should push for policies.
That's not what the judge concluded. He did not conclude that anybody had misbehaved. No, he didn't.
He said that
Thank you for being here. I gotta go.
Wow. And that's what the left does, folks. They change the narrative when it doesn't suit them. This is a criminal act. Person's found not guilty. This is an administrative wrongdoing. We got more trials to do. Come on. Listen, we're just about at halftime here, ladies and gentlemen, behind Enemy Lines. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. I'm Gene Baradelli. Russ Gallo is working the night shift tonight. And while you're listening, please check us out at www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And if you miss us here for any of part of our live show, you can check us out on any one of our rebroadcast outlets, including WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station, WJHC 107.5 FM in Jasper, Florida on the Florida-Georgia line, K98 Talk, High Plains Talk Radio and Sackheads Media, and ICRN, the Internet's conservative radio network. And even if you miss us on any one of those rebroadcasts, you can check us out on demand at iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbay, Player FM, and you can discover us on Google Play Music. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk to Niger Innis, the chairman of Tea Party Forward and TeaPartyForward.com. We'll be talking about the Black Lives Matter movement a little more in depth and what plans they may have in store for the RNC and what Niger's going to do to make sure that those plans are totally foiled. And after that, we're going to talk a little bit more about reaction to the Nero verdict in Baltimore and the Freddie Gray trials to come. Gene Baradelli, Behind Enemy Lines. We'll be back right after these brief words.
I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito. And we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show.
Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of 2 college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show. And check out our blog posts and articles at VitoandVito.com.
Vito and Vito Show every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. In Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the truth.
There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me, who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it. Liberty HealthShare is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty HealthShare is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good. Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness.